Hi, Cornerstone's kids. It's Miss Nancy. I want to read you one of my favorite books. This is Fancy Nancy. The author is Jane O'Connor, and the illustrator is Robin Pierce Glasser. Here's Fancy Nancy. This is my room before I made it fancy. I love being fancy. My favorite color is fuchsia. That's a fancy word for way of saying purple. I like to write my name with a pen that has a plume. That's a fancy way of saying feather. And I can't wait to learn French because everything in French sounds fancy. Nobody in my family is fancy at all. They never even ask for sprinkles. There's a lot they don't understand. Like lace-trimmed socks do help me play soccer better. Sandwiches definitely taste better when you stick in a frilly toothpick. A princess is supposed to keep her tiara on all the time. What's a fancy girl to do? I asked my doll, Maribel. Her full name is Maribel Lavina Chandelier. Then I get an idea that is stupendous. That's a fancy way for saying great. Maybe I can teach my family how to be fancy. I make an ad and I stick it on the fridge. Learn to be fancy with lessons from Nancy starts today. Easy, fun, and free. Soon there's a knock on my door. My family saw the ad and they want to get started right away. The trouble is, my family doesn't own any fancy clothes. That's okay. I go to find, what's that fancy word? Oh yes, some accessories. Ooh la la. My family is posh. That's a fancy word for fancy. My mom twirls in front of the mirror. Why don't we go somewhere fancy tonight? How about a dinner at the King's Crown? Dad suggests. Wow! My parents are acting fancier already. May I escort you lovely ladies outside? The limousine is waiting. My dad is our chauffeur. That's a fancy word for driver. When we arrive at the King's Crown, everyone looks up. They probably think we're movie stars. I'm so proud of my whole family. They eat with their pinkies up and they call each other darling. For dessert, let's have parfaits, my mom says. That's the French word for ice cream sundae. Amazing, my mom knows French. When our parfaits are ready, I curtsy and say merci. I carry the tray like a fancy waiter. Oops, I trip, I slip. The tray does a double flip. I don't feel fancy anymore. I want to go home. After I get all cleaned up, I put on my dressing gown. Those are fancy words for bathrobe. I feel much better. I'm ready for a parfait. I tell my parents, thank you for being fancy tonight. I love you, my dad says. I love you, my mom says. And all I say back is I love you. 'Cause there isn't a fancy or a better way of saying that. And that's the end. I hope you enjoyed Fancy Nancy. Bye.